Hello and welcome. My name is Faye. This is your heart's path. I'm here today to do a forecast for January of 2022. We're going to spend the next little bit having a look across the mental, emotional, physical, and energetic bodies that make up who you are. This is a guidance-based, intuitive reading to basically support you to have deep clarity. I'm going to pass on some tools and tips that you can utilize throughout January to gain a little bit more awareness so as that you can practically apply some of this insight, some of this guidance that comes through my channel into your own everyday life. For alignment being that space where you are integrated in your body, where you feel and are integrated as a being and working with your whole body at, I want to say, like in the best possible way, in the most empowered way possible. Alignment means different things to different people. I kind of see it when we move or when we're facilitating a reading or a session like this. There's all this information here and we kind of bring it all in together. And when it's in alignment, we kind of make sense of it and it drops into the body and we kind of have a deeper understanding so that we can, I guess, get the momentum moving forward, but we're participating in life. We're not checking out. So I kind of want to introduce this reading, tying off the ends of 2021, what a year we've had. We're in the middle of a Venus retrograde right now. And I've been having this ongoing joke with my guides about this essence of being onion farmers. And we've really been in this role over the last year. And metaphorically speaking, when I say onion farmers, it's this metaphor of like peeling back the layers of the learning and our experiences, whether that be based on something that's happened in the past or something that arises because you want to change your vibration and frequency. So it's a releasing of density, it's a releasing of old ways of being, it's releasing old aspects of who you are, and ultimately raising your vibration to kind of ultimately raise you up to integrate your higher self into this physical body. And this peeling back of the layers is the work that we do inside of the human body. It's mental work, it's emotional work, it's physical work, and it's also the energetic side of things. So we have been peeling back layers, and through this retrograde period, the Venus retrograde, we've had a lot of focus and will do moving into January around relationships. So this is the relationship to the self, this is self-love, this is relationship to other, it's intimate relationships as well. And the image that I saw yesterday when I was meditating around this was almost like the onions have been pulled out of the soil. So it's like we peel back all the layers and then there was this remaining part. So we're really yanking on the root system right now. What happens when we yank these onions out and they're in our matrix and we can have a look at them, metaphorically speaking? I love this because it's like it's all in the field. It's in the matrix and we can see it, we can feel it where we are participating or still existing inside of our shadow selves to be able to actively transform and start to do things in a different way when it comes to relationships and relating. So this reading could be completely based around self-love if you want to look at it that way, because we're looking at empowerment, we're looking at clarity and how you can best work with your beautiful body and being to do what it is that you're here to do in this world. So inside of this peeling back of the layers and having a look at these onions as they're here, it sort of suggests to me that we've got great insight inside of our matrix, inside of our own reality, as to where we've been pointing the finger, where we've been pushing energy onto other or projecting what's inside of us, and where we haven't been taking responsibility inside of our relationships, but we might not necessarily yet have the how to do things a little differently. It feels to me that that's going to happen moving into January. We'll have a look at that across the bodies and how that sort of makes sense as to allowing for some of that insight to drop in. Presence is always important no matter what month we're moving through. And I can't kind of emphasize that enough right now. Presence is the state in where you will receive the insight as to how to do the next step. We don't have to look 6 months ahead right now. But we are working with this theme of relationships. inside of this as well, inside of the realm of relationships, inside of intimacy. It's not a great time to be jumping into something new. We are tying off a lot of loose ends. We've become really aware of what environment we do and don't want to be in, where our energy is kind of a match and where it's not, where it might not be a match, but you're actually there to do a little bit more work, or there's some learning in that experience still. So I'm seeing like contracts being stamped. I feel like there's a whole lot of relationships that potentially have coming to an end. And when I say contracts, things that you've signed up to before you've come here to earth, if you want to look at it like that. So here's your lesson, here's your contract. It means that you will meet this person on this day and you have these experiences, and when the experience is finished, the lesson is learned and it's integrated into your being, the contract is done. And there's no need on a soul level or on a purely energetic level to necessarily continue feeding that relationship or participating in that relationship if it doesn't offer, I want to say, just like simplicity. And I can see and feel like a lot of endings happening, whether that is inside of your intimate relationships or it's just relationships to a particular environment in which you've been in. And there's closure there. So I would encourage you to really, even if that's just stepping back for a couple of months so that you allow space for new to come through post this retrograde period, it is a really beautiful time. And sometimes that means a little bit of solitude. That's in essence, that's kind of come through for in and around the spiritual body, and we'll touch on that a little bit as we move in. So anything else just kind of overall that we'd like to touch on here? Closing over, if you have, if you do manage to see this before the new year, I'd really encourage you to make an altar. An altar is something really beautiful. It's really sacred, and base this altar around whatever comes through for you. But there's an additional piece of bringing in nature. I feel like with this connection, this relationship with nature at the moment is more important than ever. There's a lot going on in the cosmos and just in our physical sort of more 3D reality, and we don't want to lose touch with nature. So bring in elements of things that you might collect on a walk, or just to really harness this connection with her, to pay your respects for her, to ask for her support moving into a new year and a new cycle. And the deeper your connection with nature, I want to say the more present you become, the more connected to life you become, the more embodied you are to be able to see and feel and experience your intuitive self, but also your senses, your touch, taste, smell, and feel, so that your experience here can be rich. And there's a part of giving back to Mother Earth in that space as well. By placing elements on your altar, you can really honor her. She's gone through a lot this year as well, and it just feels really super grounding. But an altar space anyway, moving into the next chapter, would be a really beautiful manifestation process, something to really anchor the energy of what it is that you want to be working with next year. Something that already contracted prior, but you will feel that internally when you really drop into your heart space anyway. So maybe just pop 15, 20 minutes aside and really have a look at what it is that you would like to place upon your altar as far as an essence or an energy that you are intending to work with and call in for the year to come. And maybe just leave that there for a few weeks, and you can add bits to it. And it's just a really nice reminder, I feel. It's a sacred place that you can visit and kind of give your energy to, throughout your everyday life, I guess. I pulled some animal cards. I called in my animal spirits. I really love working with the animals. I feel like more than ever, they're almost some of my favorite. Almost could apologize to my galactic sort of family for saying that, but I feel like it really keeps us embodied. I really resonate with that wild woman side of myself, and just nature in general. I think there's so much medicine in and around the animals, and I pulled some cards to kind of get things moving today, just to really deeply feel into the essence for the collective. So what resonates with you, great. What doesn't, let it go. It doesn't really matter. This is just here to offer a little bit of value. And you are ultimately the person that allows things in or doesn't allow things in, and you'll feel it in your body. I'm going to start with the emotional side today, because I'm going to take a nice deep breath, because there's a lot going on emotionally. If you're with me, you might want to take a nice deep breath as well. I do tend to talk quite quickly when I'm channeling. Emotionally, we've been working with this really hot, cold, feeling really great, not feeling great at all. And when I say not great at all, it's been really fucking hard. And moving into January, I feel like we're going to have a little bit more of this. It's sort of like up and downs, almost like a little bit bipolar energetically. And when it's down, it's quite dark, necessary to really see this and feel this in order to know what it is that you are emotionally letting go of right now, or what needs to be run through your system in order to let it go for good. And then when it's high, it's very joyful. It's joyful in a sense where there's this deep connection inside of the emotional body to the heart. The heart is contributing to the bigger picture, and the emotional, I want to say the high is actually quite peaceful. It's this deep, deep, deep trust that you are exactly where you're meant to be. And no matter the challenges when you're here, you've felt this enough to know that you've really got your own back. It's like a strong backbone in the emotional side where you're safe to feel the lulls. You know how to receive support in this space. And when you're here in this space, it feels actually quite gentle. And the gentleness is where I want to say like you're reprogramming inside of this gentle space as to the insight you receive when it drops down a little bit lower. You're up here in your peak and there's a softness and a gentleness. And this is a lush place emotionally to really command into your field that you want to be feeling. And there are so many different emotions that we can be feeling that tell a story, especially if we're not super specific about the actual event or the specific thing that we're manifesting. Working with the essence of an emotion is a lovely way to manifest, and there feels like a whole pool of things. I don't really see this being 1, 2, or 3 different options for everybody. I think this is where you participate. So if you've been feeling a lot of grief, perhaps the emotion that you command into this beautiful bliss space is acceptance. And if we've been in grief, which feels, and we go into a place where we're here and we go, okay, acceptance, all of a sudden the body starts to soften. You can attach a color to the emotion to really filter this through your system. So you have a visual, and when you think about that color, the emotion is there. You can program this energy and participate in this. So that's just an example. But when you have those beautiful places where you're like in a deeper space of surrender, and that bliss space, you feel like you're out of this. This is where I want you to participate. Speak to your guides, speak to the universe, speak to nature, speak to your body, and pop your request in. And it may change week to week as we're moving through cycles quite quickly at the moment. They're also saying that there's like a big difference between like the northern and southern hemisphere. One's quite hot right now, one's quite cold. It's always that way. We sort of work in unison. We kind of balance each other out in that sense, but I feel emotionally there's actually 2 very different things going on there. Anything else that we've missed? This feeling of overwhelm can come in that space where we do drop down low. I know if you've watched my previous video for December, overwhelm was a little bit of a theme. Emotionally, when we're here, it can sort of feel like, oh my gosh, please no more. Like I'm really struggling to hold on. But that's the space where you also have capacity to remember and remind yourself you're going to be okay. You've been here before. It might be a couple of days. It doesn't feel like lengthy periods of being stuck here. If it is, then I want to say like get some support in now, because it doesn't actually need to be lingering. But there's this knowing, and the knowing is the faith. The knowing is you are strong enough to feel what it is you need to feel. We kind of touched on this before, but it does really feel like the overwhelm moves into more of a place of, hold on a second, it's okay to experience this overwhelm. I know what it is that I need to do for my physical body in order to support my emotional body to really soften and relax into this, to know that it's not going to consume me or eat me alive. And it's predictable. That's the key word. Thank you. I love the predictable nature of this, because we've done this so much this year. And even if it's not you, you've witnessed other people doing this. There's a predictability in the current, and it doesn't have to be 3 weeks here, 3 weeks here, 3 weeks here, 3 weeks here. It can kind of happen all in one day, yet you realize there's a deeper realization coming through January how much of this you get to participate in, versus being a leaf that gets flown around in the wind. You kind of become all of it. You become the wind, you become the tree, you become the earth, you become the sun. It's like, okay, I'm participating in all of this, and I'm going to put a practice aside to really move the shit that I'm feeling, so as that in an hour's time I can show up for my clients or go into a yoga class or you know, have lunch with my family and feel content and present. So emotionally, the animal that actually came through was hyena. I kind of saw this. I was like a little bit of black and white. It was funny, the hyena came out and then I saw like a yin and a yang. So it was almost this balance, this masculine, this feminine, this light, this dark, and just how purposeful it was. It was very split down the middle. So I think in January, we're going to be having a little bit of both. The really great feelings and the not so great feelings. But we also know deep down that it's okay. Hyenas also work in packs, don't they? So I want to say there's a transformation in the packs. As I'm looking at this through my vision now, I can see like some hyenas almost like leaving the pack and others coming through. So perhaps we can expect almost new connections or like old connections coming back into the now in order to kind of experience something different. I don't feel like elaborating too much on that. I'm just going to share the vision. You can feel the essence. But the pack might be changing. And when the pack changes, some people stay the same. The role is kind of there. There's a group work going, and there's also inside of that, there's a craving for connection in a new kind of a way. Perhaps this essence of tribe or family or community, again, has been quite a big theme, is in the process of shifting. Doesn't feel like it actually lands and you've kind of got your new space yet. I think out the other side of Venus retrograde, that's when we'll start to see these kind of more long-term connections. And we're in this weird void space through January where some people might leave and then the others might show up, but the connection takes a little while to form. Let's put it that way. So if and when you're craving community or craving a group space or wanting to connect with other, it's not about bypassing this spiritually. And I part of me wants to say it's okay to actually be in solitude right now, but it's also okay to place yourself in different environments where maybe not so much is needed from you, because, and that might be going and doing a class somewhere, like a yoga class. They kind of brought that in, and that's a really beautiful example. So you go into the room, you're around other people, you can have a chat before and after, but there's not really any expectation of you in that space. And it might mean that you meet somebody there that you have a really nice kind of connection with, but you might not arrange to have coffee with them until this retrograde period is done. So the people that feel safe in your environment, spend time with them. Put yourself in environments where you can release the stuff from the old, the stuff that's been triggered, where you've got a definite, this is not for me anymore. This is actually this is the emotion I want to be working with. I'd rather work with intimacy versus a feeling of unsafety. And this is where we request in the spaces that aren't feeling so aligned to really bring about something new. It is celebration season, so family members and all those sorts of things that comes with our human struggles, but it also comes with beautiful blessings. So take time to feel, but don't get too caught up in the rabbit hole. Placing aside a practice to let go will allow for the energy to move a little quicker and kind of a little bit more in flow. So it brings in that emotional water energy where it's like the wave comes and then I don't know what that's called, but it like sort of retracts back into itself, doesn't it? And then again, sort of this momentum. Beautiful meditation would be to just visualize the ocean or to go and sit by the ocean and just observe the way that the water moves and how you can allow some of that fluidity into your emotional body. Nice deep breath in. I have to remember that I'm not in a rush. Okay. Let's move into the mental side of things. And interestingly, I just said not so much in a rush. When I think or feel into the mental body of the collective right now, I want to start taking like deep, deep breaths into my belly. And at the same time, I can feel where everything feels really contracted and I just want to soften. I want to soften the shoulders. And really, there's this very strong connection between the belly right now and the mental body. We'll get into that because I don't understand it fully yet. It'll drop in as we go. The two animals that came through for this was the elephant and the dolphin. Two very different, ones on land, one's in water. When I see the elephants, to me, actually, they represent my family, and that's how I would utilize their essence metaphorically when I'm reading for other if they do show up. In connection to the mental body, there can be, it's almost like the parallels. I want them to make this a little bit clearer. Guys, could you please make this a little clearer? Just bring it in a little closer for me. Thank you. Okay, I love this. So it's like the elephant has a responsibility inside of its family. If you're a mother or a father, or you're a brother or a sister, or a daughter or a son, or whatever, it's that we kind of are born inside of an environment, or we're contracted to certain environments or experiences inside of our family where it's kind of like no escape sometimes. We want to be able to retreat, but it's there and we love them unconditionally, so we're there to support them. Why they're kind of framing this picture is that there's a responsibility, is actually the words that are coming through. I can see the elephants, like its vision is really clear, but it's also kind of balancing, and I'll show you the cards. I really love these. It's balancing the fire here in its trunk. I love the size of this fire. And when I say that, mentally, we've had big blazing fires, and then we've had fires that have completely gone out where we've been in like a numbness or a void space. Moving into January and throughout the period of January, I almost want to focus on this, like I want to bring the fire in so it feels a little bit more contained. And when I say that, we've had our minds blown open, and now there's this period of kind of bringing your mental energy back into your body and really kind of nurturing and carefully exposing this fire to people, experiences, maybe even information that doesn't throw you over into a space where you're in overwhelm, mental overwhelm, or it's too much to handle, and it's not completely out, because we want to keep the inspiration alive. But this means thinking for yourself. And when I say thinking for yourself, this period of shifting out shit that doesn't resonate anymore, or old connections that don't resonate anymore, means that we're open into the void, right? And we spoke about that a little bit before. What are you going to put into this space? And when we look at the mental body, we can have a look very specifically at what it is that we believe, the programs that have been running. When I speak of programs, it might just be a thought that you have. So there's been a bit of an emphasis, and there will be more of an emphasis around relationship to, I want to say like food and things like that. We could have a look at it as simple as that. If you believe that you are allergic to bananas, you're going to eat a banana and put the energy of I believe I'm allergic to bananas into my body. You might have an inflammatory response. You might decide to go and get an allergy test and realize you're not allergic to bananas, and you realize that this is just a program or a belief you've been running and it's been stripped. And then January, you get to retrain your body to, and your being, your mind, to understand and move into new territory where you go, okay, I can eat bananas, I'm not going to have a reaction. And the mind is so powerful. So if you go there and there's a void space because you're creating new beliefs with your mental body, if you go there and you still are entertaining the old thoughts, you'll just reprogram this into your system. Or you hold the strength, the focus to really reprogram that which is more aligned with you and feels like your truth now. This does stem across our emotional body as well, but I want to say mentally, I feel like bring your energy in. It doesn't feel like a really big place to, I want to say, like, stop the reading of information that's external to you right now and actually really start to observe how this is functioning through January for you. What is it that you're thinking about yourself and other? What is it that you believe about yourself and about other? Because there's a big period of downloading new. I think we're going to have some big downloads from the cosmos, if you want to call that, partway through January, which is light as information that can bring in higher vibrational beliefs that then unfold into your being and then feed back into the environment. Therefore, your reality is shifting and changing. So belief work would be really beautiful at this point in time, and this kind of bringing in the mental energy so as that you're not scattered all over the planet and kind of completely expanded to the point where your soul, boom, is out of your body and you're not here anymore. We want to just check this, you know? And the mind is very connected to the breath, and that's a really beautiful place to learn to deeply breathe. We'll go into that a little bit in the physical body, but the slower your breath goes, the more here you are, the more awareness inside of your body and your being, but your mind will follow. If you're doing that, your mind's going to start to do this. But if your mind is already doing this, you'll be shallow breathing. So you can trick one or the other, or train one or the other to really slow things down. Give your mind time to offload if it needs to. But yeah, it feels very, very focused. actually, and you're balancing this fire like the elephant is here in this space where mental balance is kind of the key to be able to continue moving forward. The essence of family here, that can be big triggers around Christmas time. We did kind of touch on that. And when I say family, I just love the elephants for that. I love the way that they move with one another and their beautiful rituals that they have. So perhaps bringing ritual into your intimate experiences to really create mental safety, and mental safety being where you believe you're okay and you're safe in that environment. And if you're not, trust and honor that process, place up your protection if you need to, or get out of there. Because it's kind of, you're taking back your mental power. You have an opportunity to take back your mental power here, not to become overwhelmed by all this information out here, and to really stay true to what is your truth. That may be different to somebody else, to your neighbor, to your friend, or however that works. But it's important. It is really important. The dolphin comes into that space to kind of bring in a little bit more playfulness. And when I say playfulness, just like to lighten up the mental mind a little bit. I kind of want to shake things off. It's like that kind of energy. Like, how can you bring in your inner child's mental mind of curiosity into this space? Curiosity being a place that feels quite expanded, but it's also happening inside of your body and your being. You're not leaving to go and find something else outside of you. You're here. And it allows for new ways of thinking when we bring in this essence of curiosity inside the mental mind. If you're going to do any practice in and around this, it would be about slow breathing. Maybe not even like Wim Hof breath holds, that kind of thing. It really feels like deeply breathing all the way down to your, if you're a woman, your pussy, but like all the way down to your feet, drawing that beautiful energy up from Mother Earth. And if you're going to kind of anchor, if you're channeling and you're in that space, you're very connected to the cosmos, to really have that kind of energy running through you in a way where you feel balance. So let's work with balance inside of the mental body, but also beautiful opportunity to create some new ways of thinking, not based on all the information out here. Be inspired by it, sure, but what is coming through for you. That voice that speaks is often nice and subtle and quiet. It speaks through those long, slow, deep breaths. All right, moving on. Physically, I've loved this observation of my own physical body this year. I had some back surgery, and it really dropped me deep inside of my body, and gave me such a beautiful appreciation for how loud the body speaks. And I'm talking right down to like my pinkies right now feel a little bit stiff. There's like this inside of here. If I'm to place my awareness and my attention on the side of my little pinkies, there's energy and information here. I could ask my fingers what's going on. It feels like stored energy inside of this space here. It can almost be like a little bit of nervousness, and I feel more content when my fingers go like this. It's like, okay, the energy starts to move and there's warmth coming back into my body. Check in with your aches and pains. Talk to them, communicate, place your hand on those places. It's got information to share with you. And it might just be a simple request. Like, I probably just need a little bit more water inside of that space. When I'm doing that, I'm like, okay, a little bit more hydration. I had a little bit too much coffee this morning. So in that space as well, monitor it. I love this essence of curiosity inside of the physical body. It's speaking in very specific ways is kind of what I want to say. The energy that came in with the physical body was the snake. There was this this essence here where I will show you. It's actually like, they call it the cosmic egg, but when I saw this intuitively, I've interpreted it in my own way, and that being in and around the snake, and I sort of saw the egg. My guides then showed me that snakes have eggs in two different ways. Some of them are internal inside of the belly, and then the eggs hatch inside and they give birth to the snakes almost like they're a mammal, or they're an animal that gives birth. I'd have to check that. But the other side of that is that some lay eggs externally, and they lay on them like externally from their body. So there's two different ways of doing things, and there may be other ways, but these were just the two examples that they used. When this comes to the physical body, it felt very like, I want to say like internal. If you're internal, like you've got ideas or you're ready to birth something new and it's inside of your body, I want to say that it's a different energy to those who are already laying on their eggs, ideas, inspirations, things to action when they're ready, this nesting period. It feels very different, and you may be one or the other. if you have eggs inside of your tummy, ideas inside of your belly, and you're kind of sitting on things until your physical body feels back in alignment with the vision or the perfect amount of time to really birth this, it sort of feels much more gentle. I want to say be gentle with your physical body, gentle movement, gentle nurturing touch. And I also feel like bringing this in and around like gut health. Gut health feels really important. I think there's a lot of bloated tummies right now. It feels quite inflamed. And inside of this inflammation comes in as like red hot. So what can you do to cool your body down and to find that, not cold, but where can you find that kind of balance between hot and freezing, where your body temperature feels quite right. If you're really warm, you might have a cold shower and kind of bring yourself back into balance. We can also utilize food to do this with our physical body. Ayurveda has some beautiful teachings in and around that. It might be something you want to research. But it feels like a little bit of inflammation. They're basic things we can do. I'm obviously no dietitian, but intuitively when we're eating these sorts of things, spicy food obviously brings heat into the body and etc. There are different things that we can do. Use what's in season to play with the temperature of your body to kind of come into a space where you feel a little bit more balanced and less inflamed. Inflammation can present itself through aches and pains in the body. It can be puffiness, it can be heat. It can also manifest as like aggression outwardly, and anger and rage and these sorts of things. So it's about cooling this down with the physical body with gentle movement, not so much aggressive outbursts, which can feel like that's what we want to do. We might feel the urge to like run. But if you've got this internal peace, it may be more that your body wants to take your shoes off and go for a walk in the ocean. And the breath again feels nice and slow. Not so much sweating and perspirating, but this kind of like really beautiful, gentle movement. Now, that's enough said there. I'm going to move to the other side. If you feel like you're kind of nesting, and you're like laying on eggs, ideas, things that are going to boom. This is what happens through January. I think we've got a lot of like the eggs start to crack and it's like, fuck, I've got the thing. And with that comes the energy to start taking action in that space. And I see more of that like partway through January, after that kind of like holiday season sort of buzzes off and we go back into work mode or service mode. But in that space, if you're kind of nurturing your eggs, you're very aware of your external environment. And when I say that, even though the eggs are kind of buried in and around the soil or under leaves and it's very earthed, you're still nesting there, very aware of what's going on around you. And I want to say, bring your energy, keep your energy in your body, and take observation mode of what's going on around you. If you've got a busier environment or you're in situations and experiences where you're kind of contemplating about doing things a little bit differently, let's work on where we're judging other and where we don't like or we do like, and bringing it back into the self. So where is this a mirror for your experience internally, where these things are actually more of about your relationship to self? So jealousy has been a theme in and around this relationship transit. And I want to say like paranoia and not good enoughs and fear of missing out. And it's kind of these weird like little self-conscious things. And if you're observing other people and feeling a ripple or like a fear or something from outside of you is affecting your energy to the point where you feel off balance, it's a weakness inside of you, and that's okay. But there is opportunity to stay inside of that space here where you're not afraid, but you're in observation mode. And again, you start to look at where this is functioning inside of your body and your being. The belief work comes into this, the self-love practice comes into this, the inspiration to treat yourself in other ways, perhaps attuning your diet, perhaps tuning your exercise routine, perhaps attuning the things that you think about yourself, and kind of coming into a more truer version of you that is very loving and safe. Again, this feels like when we're alert and we're looking outside of ourselves all the time, aware of potential threats or things that are going to upset your vibration or throw you off balance. Where is that inside your body and being? Not so much worrying about other, And that might just be, I don't feel safe in this environment, it's not for me, or I feel safe, but I'm not resonating in this space anymore. So you check that. It's like, okay, I have the insight, the information I need. I'm not going to do that anymore. Anything else around the physical body, please? I want to say like skin. There's like a really big thing around temperature right now. Water is more important than ever. If you're not filtering your water already, I kind of want to say, like, please come on, get this stuff out of your system, especially if you're intuitively prone. You want those signals inside of your body to be really super clear, decalcifying the pineal gland, read about it if you need to, alkalining the body, these sorts of things. We don't need the fluoride and stuff inside of our water. I don't believe, that's personal belief. And so that's all I can really say there. Filtering your water, bathing your body in oceans, in lakes, in rivers. This essence of water, very, very connected to the physical body. Cleansing. Could bring in also, because we spoke about the bloated stomachs, like things like colonics and washing out your bowel space. As when we've had an emotionally intense time, this sort of thing can become quite stagnant. So throughout January, look at how you can utilize water to cleanse, refresh, balance out, and kind of cool the body down if need be. Excuse me. Okay. Lucky last, we're moving into the energy body. This side's always my favorite. When I say it's always my favorite, it's quite interesting at the moment. And January, there felt like a whole lot going on. First of all, I don't want to, this is not like a fear warning, it's just really please be mindful around, are you in your body and are you not in your body? Because when things become tough or we've had a really intense time, the desire to want to escape, whether that be through drugs, through alcohol, through disconnection, whether that be through literally leaving your body whilst you're in an environment that you feel uncomfortable in, to get up and out of the body and not be grounded is a very quick tendency when we've had a bit of a shit time for a long time. So check in. Where are you? Call yourself back into your body, literally by your name. Focus on your feet in that space. You've got an earth star chakra below your feet, which really anchors you into the core of the earth. It's one that can be forgotten about. Same with the chakras on the bottoms of the feet. So just check that you're not checking up and out of here. You will know what that feels like if you're attuned to your energetic body. The chameleon is the animal that came up. The chameleon is that thing that changes itself in order to fit inside of an environment, to please other people or to blend in or to, and this is in regards to you changing who you are in order to please other or to keep the peace or to, blend in. And if that is something that you're doing and it doesn't feel right and true for you, this energy of the chameleon, I want to say this is where we start to catch this. And we're catching this in a space where it's highlighting your relationship to your true self. I'm going to let you interpret that how you want, but I would call that like my higher self. That's what my intention is, to really bring as much of my higher self into my physical body as I can. Everything else that filters through aspects of myself that no longer resonate or are not here to be here moving forward. So your true self can be different steps on the ladder to this higher self aspect, but it doesn't mean that you need to change who you are in order to please other outside of you. We actually need you. You are needed like in your full uniqueness. So I want to say, like, get your weird on and check with the chameleon. Like, you can literally bring this into your vision space and go, okay, like, am I trying to blend into my environment right now? Or am I all good kind of standing here in my spots and my stripes and like comfortable in my true self? A little bit of a bridge there. It's interesting how that kind of brings in this next piece of the environment. And my guide sort of said that the environment can cloud your, how do we say this? The outside environment can cloud your inner vision of who you are if you're giving your power away or feeling like your environment is a direct reflection of who you are. So if you go into a shopping mall and it's fucking chaotic and there are people everywhere and you kind of notice different things and it makes you feel a particular way, it's not about blaming yourself. Sometimes it's actually that you've gone into another environment, you've gone into an environment that doesn't necessarily resonate with you, but you don't need to take all that energy into your body and your being and have it be your fault or the way that you are behaving and acting. It can sometimes just mean that it's just out of alignment for you. Don't visit that place, go somewhere else if you want to, or put your protection up around your energetic body. Because this tendency to forget the true self and feel like the environment is a direct reflection of who you are is true, but it's also not true when you are participating in the creation of your reality. And the difference between that is not being intentional with your living, not being present versus being present and being intentional, where you are sort of, I guess, the creator of your reality, so to speak. So if you are knowingly not participating in the manifestation of your vibration or supporting your body and your vibration to go to that place in that environment and kind of not be bothered by it, or to have that awareness that yes, you're just in an environment where people are quite stressed and it's not actually my stuff, and I'm just going to send love to everybody that I walk past, but I'm not really going to extend my energy out far enough that I bring all of that into my field. I'm just going to remain in my body and my being. It's not necessarily a reflection of who you are. So I love mirror theory, and I think we've spoken about that already today. Hey, and there are places where that's really important, but I don't believe that it's always the case. There's another part of that where like clouding the true self can mean habits and behaviors energetically and spiritually, where you are potentially going into an environment, raising your vibration in order to support everybody else, or dropping your vibration in order to meet the people there so that you can have a conversation. So I know, as somebody who doesn't drink a lot of, I don't really drink alcohol, I have a beer every now and then, but if I go into an environment where lots of people are drinking, it feels in my body as a personal experience like the vibration is quite low. And there's a period where the drunker people get, it feels like the denser the vibration becomes, and there's a point where we're not really connecting on the same reality anymore, and that's usually when I like to go home. And then sometimes I don't want to go and entertain that energy at all, and sometimes I kind of feel like my cup's so full it doesn't really matter, and I can kind of maintain my vibration, but it doesn't necessarily mean that there's a really deep connection there. I don't want to make this confusing, but what I do feel like saying is that your environment can be a mirror, and it can also be a lesson and a learning to really identify your true self and your true nature, and kind of be a reminder that you have tools to be able to protect, you have tools to raise your vibration, you have tools to say no when you don't really want to do something. And this feels more important than ever in January, because we are moving into new when it comes to relationship with the self and relationship with other. Spiritually, we got a lot of I want to say like people really stepping into the very beginning stages of their awakening. And so if you're on a path where you have been doing this for a while, it may mean that there's an element sometimes of holding a lending hand, and this energy of prosperity actually is what I want to say in January, where your cup is full and you have information and wisdom to be able to give without needing anything in exchange. It feels like there are a lot of people wanting and needing a little bit of assistance right now, but be really clear with your boundary. If it's not a day or a time for you, maybe you arrange to have a phone call the following day. To lend an ear, to listen as a means of understanding this person, or perhaps they ask you for a bit of guidance, or what is it that you did through this situation. And prosperity is that place where the universe will always give back in that space, but it doesn't necessarily mean from that person. It might just mean that when you go to the ocean, you see a whole pack of dolphins and it fills you with freaking joy. That is your energetic exchange in that space. It can come in ways of finances and these sorts of things as well. But prosperity, you kind of got to let go of the attachment to receiving something back for when you actually really genuinely feel the urge to be able to give to somebody that is in need. So prosperity is a really lovely watch it energetically and how it moves. And I've been guilty of this before myself, and I've worked quite hard at this place where, like, sometimes, like, I'll cook dinner for my partner and then I'm like, but I expect him to wash up. And that's nice. It's like a little respect thing or whatever it is, but I always have much more fun and I much more enjoy the process when I don't even think about the washing up and I cook the meal and we eat together, and I might do it 10 minutes later or he might do it tomorrow morning, or, and it's kind of just feels a little bit more in flow. When the expectation is there, though, I sit back almost a bit bitter, like, are you going to do it? Or I have to ask him, or I snap, and so it's this kind of giving without this real need to receive anything back throughout January. And that can highlight some of our relationship energetically to finances and abundance, which are going through a big rejig right now, and some of that can be quite uncomfortable. I want to say soul wants a new hobby was another thing that my guide said. Something that you can do potentially in solitude. It sounds interesting because we look at hobbies like going and joining a gym or playing sports, or and sometimes it is about connecting with community, but they were really specific about something you can almost do inside of your own home. That might be drawing, it might be weaving, it might be, like, hobbies are often quite creative if they're not physical. It might be reading, it might be something that you can do in those periods or voids where you just need to spend some time inside of your own energy and your being, not to rely on other in order to raise your vibration or to fill a gap or a hole. It's like, let creation energy flow through you in a way where you can experience some simple joy, some simple bliss. I know when I paint for myself, like, I lose track of time. And that's kind of what I want to bring in here. It's this, like, losing track of time and something you feel very absorbed in and is genuinely bringing you an experience or a feeling of joy. That feels really powerful. And if there's nothing that you can think of in your immediate environment, get creative, have a Google, look at where you feel inspired when you're scrolling through Instagram as to what other people are doing. I want to get a pole in my lounge room so that I can build some more strength and have a bit of a dance. There's little things like that I think January is going to be a really beautiful time for, and there will be space allocated for that as well. If you've been really busy, the universe is going to give you a little bit of a break, and if you've had a big break through December, I feel like things are going to start to get a little bit busier. So anything else in here, please? I do want to swing this back around. Thank you. I do want to bring this back around to the relationship piece when it comes to soul. The essence of relationships ending and not a great time to jump into something new and romantic. They say lots of different things about this retrograde, or this Venus retrograde, as far as marriage and other things. It's whatever you believe, but not necessarily a great time to be doing that. But in saying that, when we have a letting go period, or we're getting ready to call someone in or have a new connection out the other side of this Venus retrograde, or the relationship to self is changing, the soul goes through a little bit of an evolution as well. Sometimes it's fragments of the soul coming back from a past timeline that need integrating into the physical body. And sometimes it's just about allowing the soul to sort of magnify or call in that which it needs to. And when we give some essence and energy to the soul, I see the soul different to the spirit, and it feels like the personality self. It requests its desires, it requests its joy. It's quite pure in a sense that if your soul doesn't enjoy surfing, your soul's not going to enjoy surfing, and you kind of can't trick it. If your soul loves to do handstands, then you're going to experience direct joy from that experience of doing handstands. So it's very sort of particular, I want to say, and in the particular piece, or in an environment where we're bringing back aspects of the self that are coming in for healing, it wants time to settle and integrate. So out the other side of that feeling of grief, we have this, like, deep surrender, or this, like, period of letting go, and the soul wants time to express without using words. And when I say that, it's like, just give it time to be. Give it time to be, to readjust itself, to come back into yourself by doing not much at all. That's what the soul is almost saying. It's like permission to not do much at all. I don't want these quick, like, inspiration is beautiful, but take it slow. It's that turtle energy when it comes to the slow. the slow pace. There are periods where you can pop your head out and move forward nice and gently, and then there's a period where the soul is going to go, okay, I just need to settle right now, and that can be placing the head back in here. That also brings in that awareness again of making sure that the soul's not up and out of the body, making sure in the morning you're really coming back in if you are traveling. And anything else energetically. Intuition's really high right now. We've had some big realizations around intuition where we haven't listened to it throughout the 2021, and where we haven't listened to our intuition, the ripple effect of that. But what we haven't kind of yet received, what I see is like the ways to act upon the intuition when it comes. And 2022, I'm going to be mindful, feels like we start to take or have a bit more of responsibility when it comes to our intuition and where we are responding. It's all well and good to have these really beautiful gifts and to have information coming in from spirit and to have your soul speak to you, but if you have all this information and then you do no action with it, then it's just going to sit there and simmer and nothing really eventuates. So if you get an intuitive knowing about something, how can you gently, not aggressively, how can you gently respond to your intuitive knowing to facilitate change or to bring about truth or to take action to really allow this information to do the job that it came here to do? It comes through as guidance, right? It comes through as insight. It comes through as something to potentially share. And January, we can practice this little gentle movements of action to the inside voice or the soul's voice or the heart's voice when it comes to something as simple as a hobby, and it comes to something as simple as saying no to an old connection, when it comes to something as simple as, okay, I'm going to sit in stillness for 15 minutes and just allow my body to do what it knows how to do naturally and organically. That's pretty much a wrap. January feels, I almost want to say it's like a little bit split down the middle as well. The first 2 weeks feel a little different to the next 2 weeks, and I think all of these themes kind of intertwine together. I hope this brings you some beautiful awareness to be able to facilitate and work with this. Energy is beautiful like that. When we bring through energy, like, and channel it through to you, allow it to translate in your own being, in your own way. And when I say that, it's kind of, we can bring in like a little bit of alignment with all of this information, and perhaps, you know, when you're in the experience, you have the reminder of this and you go, oh, okay, it's all good. I see this clearly. This is what I need to do in order to, you know, facilitate my body and my being to the best of my ability right now. Take what you want from this, leave the rest. If you watch this before the new year, Happy New Year. January is, I don't know, it's funny because we're in a retrograde period, so it is a new cycle, but also we are pedaling backwards for the first little part when it comes to relationships. And to me, it really feels like the momentum really starts to get going next year, around February or March. So the intuitive readings for them will be quite a bit different, I think. I feel. If you would like to get in touch with me and have a reading, I'll pop my details down below my website. You can book through there, or you can find me on Instagram at Your Heart's Path. It's been an honor to spend the last 50 or so minutes with you, and if you made it this far and you've enjoyed it, love your feedback, your comments. Subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be a little bit more active on here in 2022, as I'm really feeling that. I'm feeling quite empowered actually to share. I feel less about being in hiding and contributing in a different kind of way, a little bit more creative, and this feels really beautiful and fun. So yeah, I wish you well. Anything else to say? I don't think so. Oodles of love. And yeah, any questions, pop them in the comments. If you need any clarity around anything, I'd love just to hear your feedback in general. This is super new for me, and yeah, all feedback is welcome. But I'll speak to you soon. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.